Good afternoon, Mr. Lozoya. Are you able to hear us at that station?
Yes, sir.
All right. And do you see that your attorney is with us in this Zoom hearing?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to call your cases for pretrial. And most of my questions will be directed to the state's attorney and your attorney. If it becomes necessary for you to consult with your attorney, either your attorney will tell me that, or you can raise that suggestion and I'll take it up with your attorney. And if necessary, I will put y'all in what's called a breakout room. So it just be the two of you. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Then let's get started. I call cause numbers 10,839 and 10,840. Each case being styled the state of Texas versus Frankie Lozoya Jr. These cases are called for purposes of conducting pretrial hearings. These hearings are being conducted by remote video teleconferencing technology using the Zoom protocol. They are also being live streamed on the court's YouTube channel. These presentations in these manners are in order to comply with the orders from the Texas Supreme Court and rules and directives from the Office of Court Administration dealing with in-person hearings or no in-person hearings. Because the hearings are being presented in this manner, I issue this order expressly prohibiting any party except the court reporter from recording this proceeding in any manner, electronic or otherwise. To violate that order would subject somebody to the possibility of being found in contempt of court and punished in accordance therewith. The court reporter, of course, is recording this proceeding with the consent and instructions of the court. And he is doing so in the same manner he would do if we were live in person in the courtroom instead of live in this virtual proceeding. Those pronouncements being made, I recognize for purposes of pretrial in these two matters, State's counsel. What says the state?
State's ready, Your Honor.
Next, I recognize Mr. Lorfing for the defense. What says defense?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Russell Lorfing appearing on behalf of Mr. Lozoya. We are present and ready.
All right. Are there any pretrial matters that we need to take up at this time? State?
None from the state, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor. I've had an opportunity to meet with my client on several occasions. I would ask the court, however, for a brief continuance so I have an opportunity to go over discovery with you.
Have you had an opportunity to receive discovery?
Your Honor, I have received discovery and I have reviewed the discovery.
And as I understand it, you just have not yet had an opportunity to review that with your client. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. The court notes that Mr. Lorfing was fairly recently appointed to represent Mr. Lozoya. I am frankly pleased to hear that you've had the opportunity to meet on several occasions. But I recognize that to some extent, due to the nature of these charges, and although I have not seen the discovery, and it's not for me to see at this point, that there could be a significant amount of discovery, and therefore it's appropriate for counsel to get an extension of time to further discuss that with client. So I grant the request for a continuance from this trial docket. Let me state on the record that Mr. Lozoya's case is getting close to the top of the court's trial docket. I actually have another case that I think is going to trial that is in front of Mr. Lozoya on this trial docket, and it will go to trial this month. I have another case in front of Mr. Lozoya on the docket that also may go to jury trial. If so, that would probably be in April. There is also a possibility that that particular case, there are some competency issues involved in that case that have to be examined. And that's to be accomplished, I believe, this month. If they are resolved, then that case will probably go to trial in April. If not, or if it was to result in a plea, then it wouldn't go to trial in April, and Mr. Lozoya would go to trial. If the other case goes to trial in April, then we would go to trial in Mr. Lozoya's case. Let me rephrase that. That sounds too absolute. We would anticipate that Mr. Lozoya's case would be number one for the May trial docket, and thus most likely to go to trial at that time. Those are, again, those are not absolutes. I just make those comments for informational purposes for the parties and the participants. So having granted the continuance from this trial docket, is there anything else that we need to take up with respect to Mr. Lozoya's cases at this time?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor, not at this time.
All right. I appreciate us being able to take up this case, quite frankly, on a fairly timely basis this afternoon. We have been going in and out of timeliness all afternoon with the other cases. It just so happened that we finished everything else up about the time this case was scheduled to be heard. Let me tell you, Mr. Lorfing, it's my, I have some information that is not yet official, but it's from reasonably good sources that the restriction on in-person hearings may shortly be lifted. There may still be some restrictions. If so, I haven't been told what those restrictions might be. For instance, continuing to maintain social distancing while having in-person hearings. And I remember your appearance at a pretrial hearing or at a scheduled pre-trial hearing docket for the court out at the alternate court site. It's possible that's where we may still have to do those types of hearings. Again, nothing is official, but I'm told, and I was told this even before Governor Abbott's pronouncements of, was that yesterday or day before? And so I do think, especially with Governor Abbott's pronouncements yesterday, that we are likely to have in-person hearings in some fashion as early as April. Okay, again, it's just for informational purposes. It's also not an absolute. With that, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Lozoya. We will be in recess. Mr. Lozoya, you may be excused. Thank you. And Mr. Lorfing, you may be excused unless you have something else with the court.
No, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir. See you, Russell.
Ms. Smith.
I'm ending all of these